Oh shit, we're back, boys. I was just thinking about something really quick, and I want to talk about it. I think it's interesting. I want to get people's opinions. It might look a little lobster red right now. I was out doing something. I was taking out swim dogs. Very hot out today. Very bright. It was nice because I got to be in the water. But man, anyways, I was thinking today. So I was driving into work about animal intelligence, and generally a lot of times I think about human intelligence and sentience and where the self is and stuff like that, and those are all very important questions. But I think, tangentially speaking, when you think about animals and the concept of cognizance and the measurement thereof, there's aspects of it that get kind of muddy, and I'm thinking about them right now. The biggest thing I'm thinking about, so I'm going to use beavers as an example. You could probably use a lot of other animals as an example, but beavers, I'm just thinking about beavers right now. I don't know. So we got some beavers on our pond, right? And we got some channels that run around the pond. And for a while, we thought the channels on the pond were just a natural, kind of consequence of how the pond is structured. But as it turns out, there's these giant beaver dams that run, I'm not fucking with you, probably like a quarter mile through these marshes to build up these channels that they maintain constantly. And you think about that, and it's easy. You think about beavers, you think about rivers and stuff like that. It's easy to know the flow of a river, but in a marsh, knowing where water comes from and goes to is a lot more. It's a lot more nuanced. There's not just a singular flow of water, and I don't even think it's perceptible, to be honest with you. So to understand the inlets and outlets of water in this entire marshland area, these beavers need to keep track of the inlet, which is there's a culvert that runs over a road that comes in from the north side. And then there's a small trickling outwards to the southeast side, which is where they have a large dam. But then they have several dams between those points. And you can't really reduce the building of these structures to a response to stimulus because the beavers don't need these things to live. That doesn't really matter. They can get by without them. So it's not a food incentive. It's not a direct, one to one. You think a lot about like deer behavior and herds and stuff like that. It's all based on food. But beavers, they don't really have a specific reason to do what they do, but they do it anyways. And I think that there's a level of cognizance there. And obviously beavers don't talk, but I think, and this is kind of where it gets kind of tricky. The development of natural language in humans may have been a consequence of agriculture, or it may have come before that. I don't really know, but definitely writing came out through agriculture and trade. You talk about Sumer and stuff like that. The first vestiges of most writing is trade logs. Theoretically speaking, in a different structure, in a different series of evolution, where agriculture isn't possible because you don't stand upright in your fucking beaver. Would you develop language? Like you could have the same level of cognizance or a comparable level of cognizance in doing these fucking crazy things with these dams, but the necessity for a complex natural language isn't there. And when you think about those implications, that's kind of crazy. Because then you think about, why would a beaver be specifically special in that aspect? Because you could make the argument that any animal that demonstrates a knowledge of the self, and the way that they do that, they'll put a dot on the head and hold the animal up to a mirror. And if they feel for their own head, that means that they're aware that that's them in the mirror. You could argue that any precognition that there is a self that is exterior to where the mind is a level of cognizant thought that could have implications beyond just response to stimulus. And I think that's really interesting. Those considerations are interesting. I haven't done any research. I was just thinking about this earlier. So if anyone's got any good articles on shit like that, especially about beavers, I like beavers. They're cool. Hit me up. Post some shit. And then just the animal intelligence in general, the definition of cognizance. I think that's a huge thing, and I think knowing about that when it comes to other species can help us understand deeper aspects of ourselves tangentially. because there are conceptions I think that are too egotistical when you think about humanity as a specific construct, but when you bring it kind of full circle with the whole animal kingdom, I think it becomes kind of a bigger picture. But that's what I'm thinking about. Let me know if you have any thoughts. See ya.